Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we have a little bit more information in regards to what is being enhanced, what's being changed, the overall goals, and pretty much everything that PlayStation wants to make happen when it comes to the PlayStation 5 Pro. Now, as you guys have probably been hearing a lot of rumors, every few weeks, we've now been seeing a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. Now, as of yesterday, we kind of covered up more of the fine-tuned kind of changes and end results of the console itself, and typically, it's kind of been around the same. It keeps on evolving a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. And we also even had a leak a little bit ago about the long-term goals of what they want to change with the consoles, how they want to present the consoles, and kind of what happens whenever you do make games for the console itself. So right now we have a few more different things to go discuss into it in terms of what they're pushing for, what their goals are. Kind of imagine this as the mission statement of the console. We know what the specs improvements are: slightly better GPU, a slightly better CPU, a min-max, kind of a two-way door system, I guess, of sometimes the GPUs being prioritized, sometimes the CPUs being prioritized, and SSD more focused on some operating system to kind of have a little bit more wiggle room, but as well, if you're trying to sell games, make games, develop games on the PlayStation 5 Pro, there's a certain few specific things that PlayStation wants to have you in mind. Now, we did go cover something similar about a week ago or so, but it's kind of a bit more of a fine-tune of exactly what's going to be updated and changed and pushed and polished for the games in the console. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch stream down below in case you guys would like to go and follow. And of course, give me your thoughts and comments on all this type of stuff down below. So as I mentioned, there's been some more reports coming out over here, and this is why it's kind of fun, because I keep on leaning towards I will probably get a PlayStation 5 Pro. Depending on what games come out, if it does launch with GTA 6, realistically, I probably actually might go and get one. But when it comes to most of these types of games out here, there are other specific types of enhancements that they want to go and do. And it could mean a lot of different things because we don't have the official statement so far by Sony and PlayStation, but we can kind of go and allude towards what we're looking for. With brand new reports saying that the enhanced for the PS5 Pro could end up meaning a lot of different things, and then Sony's mid-gen upgrade aims to improve frame rate without sacrificing graphical quality. Now, one thing we always want to look for, or at least I want to look for when it comes to upgraded consoles, better specs. So just want to make sure I'm getting a better value for what I'm spending my money on, or if I'm trading in my console, selling my console to get an improved one, I want to make sure I'm getting an improvement. It's kind of like a car. You don't want to go from a 2020 to a 2024 without at least something kind of cool. Same with iPhones. I'll usually wait 3, 4, 5 years, and after that, we're good to go. Now, we also want to have better frame rate. That's just a standard nowadays, especially for me from the PC age. You want to have better resolutions, just higher quality graphics, and obviously just more options. If we have a fidelity mode, performance mode, and other various issues with it, not issues, good issues, I'm cool with that. I want that at the end of the day. And it kind of seems like Sony's trying to push for a little bit of everything, which is what should happen for a console. So information about Sony's upcoming PS5 Pro, codenamed Trinity, is continuing to trickle out. Although nothing we've learned so far about the device makes it sound like a must-have upgrade, at least in their opinion. Now, I think it's kind of the same boat. If you're really hardcore into consoles, and in all honesty, I'm more of a console channel for whatever reason, I do want to make other videos. I always tell you guys, I want to work into some other fun stuff and kind of work into more, almost maybe common day, culture stuff, realistically. Because it's more fun to talk about sometimes, but I never want to stray away from gaming. I love gaming, just as a little side note for that. But when it comes to this stuff, say for me, I wouldn't mind even making PS5 Pro content and videos when it comes on out. But basically, we've been seeing a lot more leaks and information from The Verge or Inside Gaming and all these other various game platforms out there, and that some of these improvements are coming for the console itself. They have a lot of enhancements, a lot of big things, and they are actually even saying that some of these improvements will require a patch, while others, like a new Ultra Boost mode, can increase frame rate and resolution even without developers releasing official updates. Now, this is where some of the cool news is out there. Now, let's go and say you have, let's say, God of War. In theory, with the Pro, you're going to probably want to have an updated version, resolutions, better graphics for it, when it comes to things like Spider-Man or God of War. A lot of PlayStation games, almost for sure, are going to have that. But the one big thing is kind of how it is for PCs. You get to have the improvements regardless. Now, let's go and say, how do I maybe explain this better if you guys are not big PC people? Basically, let's go and say you're trying to run Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2 at 30 frames at 4K. Now, there may be a few little hiccups. Maybe it might take a very slightly longer time to go and, I don't know, load a screen. Maybe sometimes you might dip down to 25 frames if there's a lot of stuff going on. That happens. So think about this having to run the same exact game with the same exact baseline, the same exact like specifications and optimizations on the Pro with a better GPU. No matter what, it will be running more efficient. It'll be running better, and everything will be a little bit nicer. Just by bare minimum. Like if nothing changes at all, there is no patches, no updates, no changes from the actual dev work, it will be better. That's just how like technology works. It's like once again, you try to load Twitter on an iPhone 10, try to load Twitter on an iPhone 16, like in the future. That will be no matter what, it will run slightly more efficiently, better, and just overall look nicer on the better screen, regardless. But basically, the bigger things too is also for the resolutions, where my first reveal by report by Inside Gamer and also by The Verge, which we covered The Verge yesterday, dives into what players can expect from games that earn an enhanced for PS5 Pro label on the packaging. So basically, if the game itself has been specifically made and improved for the console, this is what you should be expecting on the change-up for the console itself. So what that means exactly when you go to the PlayStation Store or go to Target itself and you see those PS5 Pro stickers, which I might have had in the thumbnail, if you guys want to look at that. But it's kind of like, just like the specifically like best optimized for PS5 Pro, which will probably be a lot of PlayStation games, maybe GTA 6 if they have a low-key partnership. Basically, it's just like the, hey, this is going to be good for PS5 Pro. Basically means that the game has a completely new PS5 Pro graphics mode that supports the PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution and the PSSR 4K upscaling and ray tracing at 60 FPS. So basically, that just means that the game itself is utilizing the AI that PlayStation has specifically made for the PS5 Pro, and it will have that nice 4K upscaling. So if the game is running at like 1440p or 1080p, it can be upscaled very quite well. And also better ray tracing too. So it has more of like a wiggle room and like a bigger opening door for just more ray tracing to be shoved on in. So it will be a better overall graphical experience. Now, it may not be the craziest change up, but having a lot better things like ocean waves, lighting, shadows, and all this type of stuff for games is a nice improvement. The game also has a higher fixed resolution cap at 30 FPS. So a good example with that one too is that they be bumped it up for like a 2660p, which I believe might be 4K. You guys can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I do believe that's 4K. So basically, the game will have the higher fixed resolution cap. So basically, just means that pretty much most games will be able to run 2160p, which I do believe is 4K. So like that's like the minimum. Like they want to make sure these updated specs inside the console will be able to give you 4K regardless. The game has a higher maximum target resolution too as well. So between 2080p and 2060p or 2160p, up from 1080 and 1440. So basically also once again saying that like they will be having an improvement on the console resolution on the maximums. It's kind of like how they have like an 8K 30 FPS, which also if that is 8K, you guys let me know. But either way, it's an improvement nonetheless. But it's kind of like pushing for 8K and then you have 30 FPS versus pushing for 4K and having 30 FPS. And I think that makes sense. Or same thing pushing for 60 frames per second on 4K rather than 30 frames on 4K. So basically, they're just kind of doing like the segmenting up on up because I do know they want to push for 8K on the console, and that may have actually been the 2160 resolution, just for the curiosity's sake for that. And also the game does also have to add a ray tracing. So let's go and say there's a baseline game, nothing's been added to it, and you want to make it a little bit nicer, Uncharted, Spider-Man, God of War, Helldivers, whatever game it might be, they also would have an add ray tracing support, which once again, that's just like better graphics, shadow details, like water movements, like facial structures, a lot of lighting, and it does actually add a lot more to the game itself. So kind of recap, they add the AI, they update the resolutions and have fixed resolutions, they update the frame rates, and they make sure the game is, for lack of better terms, the game will be a better game that will give you a slightly better performance that you will only be able to utilize using the PS5 Pro. And I think that's a big thing to know. So they say if that sounds a bit too technical, basically what it means that there's no one definition for the enhanced in the PS5 Pro label, which I would maybe want to make a quick little warning on that in the future. But I do think that's smart. It can be a whole new graphical experience or just a game occasionally hitting 2160p. The end result is you might have to research each game's version of the upgrade to know what you're actually getting to when you pay for PS5 Pro. Which does lead to a little bit of an issue, although the console's not out yet, so we might have more of a proper standardization of it, which would make sense. But as of right this second, like at least it's nice. But it could be any of those four things added. So that's something to also maybe keep in mind in the future unless they change how they implement it. In theory, you could also have multiples. It's not only just one, but like let's say it's an indie game. If they just added more ray tracing support, it could be bare minimum added with like, physical game copies, but as well long term, I'm assuming pretty much everything would be utilized, especially for let's say a PS5 PlayStation's game. too as well. So it's intriguing to see. So Sony's also apparently telling developers that even if they don't patch in any of these features to earn the new label, they still might see the overall improvements in how their games run, just based on the PlayStation 5 better graphics in general. So I think a game like Dragon's Dogma, Baldur's Gate had a lot of issues. Those games overall on consoles would run better just because the specs are nicer. So I'm intrigued on it. Like, I'm so kind of looking towards I may want to buy one. Give me your thoughts and comments and everything down below. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We do have the Twitter and Twitch stream as well down below. And I want to hear your thoughts and comments on everything down below.